2023 NFL Draft is right around the corner, and the main topic is quarterbacks. Last year's class consisted of Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, Sam Howell, and a 7th round pick named Brock Purdy. As of now, Pickett and Purdy look like the ones. Everyone else kind of fighting for the starting spot, or they're sitting as a backup, or they're out of the league. With the 2023 class, however, you got 5 guys who can go in the first round. And my top picks, we're going to start with the 1A, 1B, and 1C. And it begins with Bryce Young. Bryce Young is lifted at 6 foot 194 on ESPN. This is debatable. There's been a lot of different numbers, and it's listed different everywhere online. He finished with 3,328 yards. That was 21st in the league. 32 touchdowns, 4 rushing, 5 interceptions, and an 86.2 QBR. Now the pros, when looking at Bryce Young, he can anticipate throws. You saw in the LSU game where he threw 5 touchdowns and 321 yards, and we saw these great at avoiding pressure. This was also helped by a great line, but in comparison to where you might go in the draft, he's gonna need to run. Now, when he runs, however, he keeps his eyes downfield. He's always looking to hit a receiver, and he has the confidence to nail someone in a tight window. However, he needs to get in a rhythm. For example, in the Sugar Bowl first half, kind of going a little bit rough, but you hit the tail end of the second quarter, and he started kicking it on. Now, when he kicked it on, he was cooking. It was done. There's nothing else that was going to change the outcome of that game. Now, with his running ability, he can take off and get yardage if needed, but it's not his strength. He can stop on a dime, set his feet, and hit a guy 30 yards downfield, 40 yards downfield. He can hit him. He's got great touch, great zip. He's going to hit that guy. Now, the cons, obviously, they talk about him being undersized, that he's going to get eaten up with a bad O-line, and that he had all this top-tier talent around him. But he's playing SEC talent. He's playing behind that line, putting up all these stats. There's no reason this guy can't succeed in the NFL. And for a year that was supposedly a down season, and he had these stats, and he has this accolade, it's pretty fucking good. Now, I think Bryce Young has the ability to become the best QB in this class when it's all said and done. Everyone is so stuck on his size that they forget this guy can ball. He's won again and again, and he's proved again and again that he will go out there, he will put on a show, and he will lead his team. He is a born leader. Now, it might take one rough season, depending on the team that picks him, which I think is going to be the Houston Texans. But hopefully, with a defensive-minded head coach in there, his defense will help him out. They might bail him out in situations when he makes some mistakes, because mistakes are going to happen. He's also got one of the best left tackles in the league, Laramie Tunsil. So he's going to hold down that left side, and Bryce is going to have a great career. CJ Stroud is my 1B. He's 21. He's listed at 6'3", 218. He finished with 3,688 yards, 41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a QBR of 88.9. Now, the pros when looking at CJ Stroud, his best game was a loss against Georgia. You got to look at that. He carried his team. He was absolutely incredible. It showed off his arm talent, showed off the escapability, and showed off his football IQ. Now, he's a pocket-style passer. Some might not agree, but a guy that has that amount of football IQ and that amount of arm talent should be in the pocket delivering passes downfield. Now, with the intelligence that he has and a signal caller that can work through reads and defenses with ease, he can back it up with the touch on his passes. When receivers are going to the sidelines and they're breaking out of their post routes or they're breaking out of their corner routes, he can touch it right over the corner, right over the linebacker, right over the safety, whoever, and he'll hit them. Now, he takes big hits to deliver downfield. That could be a bad thing depending on, what you're looking at health-wise. But the fact that he's willing to stand in that pocket and get nailed and still get it to the receiver, that tells you a lot. And he also has great zip, on every pass that he throws. The accuracy is also off the charts. I could go on all day just naming, great accuracy, good zip, blah, blah, blah. He is a great passer. However, he's an Ohio State quarterback. No Ohio State quarterback has worked in the NFL. You fucking pull that shit up. Doesn't happen. There's also stacked talent around him. He's in a system that has not produced NFL quarterbacks. And I would say that he is a rhythm-based quarterback. Penn State, he got knocked out of his rhythm a bunch, and then they decided to stop playing fucking defense in the second half. And then they ran all over our ass, and then he fucking got killed. So, that's kind of unfortunate. But in all seriousness, when he's sitting in the pocket and he has a heavy blitz coming in, that's what you kind of got to worry about. Sometimes he'll panic and he'll take a bad sack. He's got to get a little bit better just learning how to avoid the heavy blitz or corner blitz. Overall, I think Ohio State quarterbacks have a long, long history of doing nothing in the NFL. This might not change, but with how good CJ seemed in college and how I believe he'll get drafted by the Carolina Panthers, Frank Reich and Josh McCown have to have a plan for this guy. The amount of times that I've seen him getting mocked to the Panthers, I'm in. I'm all in on it. They've been so aggressive in free agency to build a team that will support a rookie quarterback that I don't think he'll get the kiss of death. I think when it's all said and done, I don't think he's going to be the best quarterback in the class, but he certainly won't be nearly the bust that his predecessors were. I think the Panthers are going to get a real good quarterback. Now, my 1C is Anthony Richardson. He's 20 as of the recording of this, but he's soon to be 21 for the draft. He's 6'4", 232, finished with 2,549 yards, 17 touchdowns, 9 rushing, 9 interceptions, and a 71.2 QBR. Now, the pros, when looking at him, he has freakish athleticism and arm talent. It is insane. He's an elite runner that takes on defenders like a freight train, and he will always win the fight. He'll be going against a guy that's built like fucking Brian Urlacher, or he'll go against fucking William Perry, and he'll knock their ass over. He's never going to lose that fight. And he can decide whether he wants to take off. If he's breaking out of the pocket, he can take off, or he can stop, set his feet, and nail a guy from the 50-yard line to the end zone. He can get the ball there. He has a howitzer as an arm. It's insane. He can drop it right into the hands. Right in. There's not a lot of QBs that run like him anymore. Since probably Big Ben before he got fucked up by a motorcycle. And the zip on his throws when he's just sitting and he has time in the pocket, everything mechanically when he's throwing the football is insane. Especially when he's avoiding pressure too. He is just a magician with the football. Now, I think staying in college would have helped him a little bit. Not with athleticism or arm talent or anything, but just decision making and reading defenses. Sometimes he can have sporadic accuracy with his feet. Now, when he holds onto the ball, there's also a little bit of problem whenever he tries to throw to a guy that's not open, and he can't really throw him open, and it maybe gets picked off, maybe gets batted down. It's kind of a 50-50 shot. But some of the throws that you see on tape are just bad. They're back-footed, they're too high, too low. More often than not, he's off target whenever he's under pressure. Now, this wouldn't be insane if it... wait, what? That doesn't make any fucking sense. What the fuck? Alright. Now, the cons when looking at Anthony Richardson is, one, kind of struggles with decision making and reading defenses. He makes some bad decisions, throws some horrible picks, and from time to time you'll see him throw off the back foot, and you got to fine tune his accuracy. He's coming into the draft as a developmental guy, this isn't a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud where he's got his accuracy down and he's got his decision making down. He's got his football IQ. He doesn't have all that yet. And that's not a problem because he has the athletic traits to make up for it. Now, Richardson has been getting more hype than Malik Willis got before the draft. And that didn't really work out too well. However, the athlete you see on tape and the arm talent you see on tape and the fact that this man is built like a tight end, runs like a running back, and can send an absolute piss missile down the field is good news for a team that is willing to sit and develop him and take the shots. He's not a one-day starter, but I think he could be the best player in the class after sitting. Now, he could go to somewhere like the Seattle Seahawks, or I kind of like the Raiders. Let him sit behind Jimmy G, learn a little bit, throw him into the Lions Den, where Josh McDaniels can probably ruin him. Will Levis is my number 2. He's 23 years old, 6'3", 232. He has 2,406 yards, 19 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, 10 picks, 60.9 QBR. Now, when looking at the pros, he's kind of a Josh Allen-esque quarterback in this class. Everyone keeps comparing him to that, and that's just because of the insane arm strength and the insane build. Now, not only does he go and fight for yards, but he'll truck people over, which also leads to him getting injured or banged up. But when he sits in the pocket, he has a quick release that just zips the ball into tight windows. And he can kind of hit anywhere on the field. Like I said, this guy has a howitzer. It's insane, right? Well, it's not very good, and it's not very insane when he throws the fucking ball right to the defense. That is a huge worry, is accuracy. Accuracy is not there right now. Decision making is not there right now. When you look at that Tennessee game, oh man, it was bad. It was bad. It was probably the worst game of any quarterback I've watched in this class. But, you know, you cut him a little bit of slack just over the fact that Kentucky was horrible. Offensive play calling was straight out of Madden. O-line was Swiss cheese. But, you know, it's a project guy. I don't think he should be a first-round guy, personally, but he's going to get picked in the first round just because there's so many quarterback-needy teams. I think the Colts are probably going to take a gamble on him because Jim Irsay doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's just kind of in his own world buying random guitars. I think Shane Steichen, or whoever the fuck is their head coach now, doesn't want him, but overall it's going to be the owner's decision. Now, he could have a high ceiling. His ceiling is through the roof, but his floor is so low. And if he goes to the Colts, who else is gonna start day one? I don't know who's gonna start day one, but if they fucking draft this guy and they put him in day one, it's gonna be rough. They're gonna have to take the beating like they did with Peyton in his first year, but it's gonna be like Peyton times a million. Now, the third quarterback on this list is Hendon Hooker. Now, it's very strange to me that a 25-year-old quarterback is listed as a first-round pick when he tore his ACL. But a lot of mock drafts coming out by these NFL films guys. My third quarterback is Hendon Hooker. He's 25, 6'4", 218. Finished with 3,135 yards, 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 89.5 QBR. Now, he only played 11 games because, as you may know, tore his ACL. Now, a lot of people have him going in the first round. A lot of ESPN analysts and a lot of draft boards have him as a first round pick. I don't know personally how, but it could happen. It could not happen. I don't think it should. Now, the pros, this guy produced. He produced. If he would have stayed healthy that entire season, that's your Heisman winner. I don't think Caleb Williams could have beaten him out. I think Hendon Hooker takes that Tennessee team to the college football playoff, and they maybe win one game, depending on who they play. Now, the pros when looking at Hendon Hooker: doesn't have amazing wheels like Kyler Lamar, obviously, but he can run. It'll shock you, and he'll turn it on in an instant, and he will get his team yards, and he will put him in a good position. He was an efficient passer. Look at the numbers. You look at the games. This guy carried his team. This guy played amazing. And more importantly, he protected the football. No matter what was happening in that game, whether they were down or up, he was still slinging, and he made the right decisions. You could say, oh, well, his system, that was one read. It was just pop, go. No. This guy can read a defense. This guy works, and this guy protects the football. Additionally, you look at his footwork, his mechanics. They're damn good. They might be the best in the class. He does not tweak them at all. There's nothing wrong with when he gets the ball, drops back in the pocket. It's solid. Now the cons, you got the age, 25 years old. He just had an ACL tear that ended his season, so he's probably not going to be ready for camp. At the same time, depending on how the ACL works out, because some guys come back sooner than others, he might be ready for camp. And the system he was in said to be easy for QBs to succeed, because you saw Joe Milton, who's a complete and utter bum. He went in and he had some good games. But, in all, you look at a guy who's going to be a really good game manager. He's going to be a Kirk Cousins. He's going to be a Ryan Tannehill. I don't see him being a first-round pick, but a lot of people have him as that. I think he could go in and he could win you games. Or if you need a spot starter, that's your dude. So I think the Titans, have him stay in Tennessee. Have him be behind Malik, Tannehill. Or if they cut Tannehill and they don't like Malik, fucking have this guy chill there. Whole fucking ball out, man. You just gotta trust him a little bit. Now, my number 4, I'm going to put as a 4A, 4B. Max Duggan. Now, no one is talking about Max Duggan. This was a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. He's 22, 6'2", 210, 3,698 yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and a 78.2 QBR. This guy's a fucking gamer. He plays through injuries. He puts his life on the line for a win. You saw this against Kansas State. He was fighting. He was fighting to crawl back and try and win that game, and they almost did. Now, as you also saw in the college football playoff, he's good at extending plays and moving the pocket. He is a surprisingly great athlete. And, it's nothing like a Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson. You kind of can't compare him to that. But he's good enough to take off and escape pressure. He has moxie. He is a great leader. There's so much you could say about this dude that he's going to go in there and he's going to fucking win you games. Because that's just what he does. He goes in there and he's going to be like, I'm going to fucking beat you. He has that confidence. Now the cons, he does get banged up quite a bit. And he needs to get in a rhythm. You saw with his running ability and with him putting his life on the line, he gets whipped around. Also, you saw in that K-State game too, kind of stares down receivers. Needs to work on his mechanics a little bit, and he'll break away from the pocket. Try to set his feet, but throw an inaccurate ball. But, this guy isn't going to be a high pick. He might be a late second, third, fourth. I'd say he should go in that range. But, he might never be a starter or make a big splash on the team. But I think if you pick him up, not only will he be a great locker room guy, but he's very intelligent. He'll serve as that backup that's willing to help out the team any way he can. This is why I think he should be a fucking Detroit Lion. I mean, this guy's gritty. This guy's got moxie. That's what Dan Campbell likes. I think he's going to pick him. That's a Lions pick to me. The next one is the good old drunky Stetson Bennett. He's also 25, 5'11", 190, 4,127 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and an 87.8 QBR. There's not a whole lot to say about this guy other than the fact that he's a fucking born winner. Can't take that away from him. Dude just won 2 national championships. No matter what team you're on, that's impressive. You can't take that away. Now, he's very intelligent, and he will shred a defense with his head. You saw that. You saw the ability for him to break down defenses and the ability to move through his reads. He's very accurate for not having a kind of a boomstick arm. He's able to move when needed for being an old man, and he will get hammered, literally and metaphorically, to get his team a score or yardage. This guy is a born leader. He showed at Georgia that he was able to lead. He's kind of also got that fuck it, let's ball attitude. He knows he's not the best guy on the field, but he has the fucking confidence that he's showing that he is. Now the cons, age and build. Short, old. Kind of moving into the NFL. Usually doesn't work out. Probably not going to work out. But, you also look at the insane talent on his team. He played on Georgia. Georgia's been the number 1 team how many years now? It's either them or Alabama, and sometimes it's usually Georgia, as of recent. But arm strength, also a concern. Obviously, he doesn't have a big arm, but I think he kind of makes up for that with his intelligence. And when you're looking in the draft, where could this guy realistically go? Because he's going to be a late round pick, maybe a 6th, 7th, late 5th if you're fucking crazy. But, I think the Commanders or the fucking Cowboys could get this guy. I think the Cowboys would love to have him on the roster. Have him sit behind Dak. Have him just help out. Clipboard Jesus, Charlie Whitehurst. Why not? Now, the last quarterback I'm going to talk about is Jaren Hall. Now, Jaren Hall, BYU. Now, people aren't really talking a whole lot about him, mainly because he's 25, junior. He's 6'1", 205. He finished with 3,171 yards, 31 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and 79.3 QBR. Now, pros when looking at him, he has wheels. Very, 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 very good runner. Likes to break out of the pocket, maybe a little too much. But, he delivers the good ball on the run. Not a great ball. Good ball on the run. He can get it there. Now, he shows enough zip on passes to fit them into windows and get them in the corners. And he has good enough arm strength that could rip it down the field, Nothing like anyone else in this class, but he's a decent passer. Now, the cons, he always wants to be on the move. Uses the back foot too often, and he will throw a duck. He will throw a Mason Rudolph duck. Now, I believe Jaren is kind of an unknown prospect in this whole process. You see these amazing throws, and the athleticism is just crazy. It's off the charts. But the size and the accuracy, it's questionable. And he's also 25. And he's old. But, quarterbacks now play until they're 37, 38. That's when they start to hang up the cleats. But I think a team could grab him in the 6th, 7th round, and he could be a solid backup that could have a high ceiling. I think a team like the Ravens or Seahawks or Saints could get this guy. In total, this guy's like a motherfucking Russell Wilson. Discount Russell Wilson. Or he'll just end up being like Gardner Minshew, which is fine for a guy like him to get picked late. Be a Minshew. Back up, help your team. Now, that was the 2023 NFL quarterback class. There's a lot of guys that I think are going to be really good. First round picks that are going to be swing and hits. However, you got a lot of developmental guys in this class. And I could have talked about more. Such as Tanner McKee, Clayton Tune, Adrian Martinez, who just switched positions. You got a lot of quarterbacks who have some potential. But I don't think it's going to end up like last year's. I think we're going to have more than 2 quarterbacks make a big difference their first year. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe. Got my Twitter in the bio. Leave a comment talking about it. Who you think is going to be the best quarterback in the class. Who you think I got right, got wrong.